The baker's craft in Germany has a long tradition, and with a range of more than 300 types of bread and 1,200 types of small baked goods, Germany has a variety to offer that is probably nowhere else to find in the world. This variety of offers is due to the approximately 15,000 artisanal bakeries that produce their baked goods according to traditional recipes and processes. First pastry, Krapfen or Berliner. Berliner is the German version of a donut, and it's one of the most typical and traditional pastries you will get in Germany. The basic ingredients of a Krapfen are sweet yeast dough and a marmalade filling. You will find this pastry actually in every bakery in Germany. But during the peak of the carnival time, which is in February, which is also called a fifth season, Krapfen or Berliner are eaten a lot. A common German joke during this time is to secretly fill some Berliners with mustard instead of marmalade. If you would like to know more about the carnival time in Germany, please check the link in the description. Okay, this was the first of 10 most popular pastries in Germany. So let's check the second one. The second pastry from Germany is called translated nut corner. The main ingredients for this pastry are short crust, a marmalade layer, and grounded nuts like hazelnuts, almonds, walnuts, etc. With its invention in the year 1700, this pastry has a very long tradition in Germany, and here is a fun fact: the nut corner was invented because of the shortage of usual ingredients a baker would need to make pastries. In case you would like to visit Germany, you need to try this pastry. But be careful, as a lot of people say that this one can be addictive. Leave a comment once you have tried it. The third one is the German version of a croissant, and translated it means a little horn. Although there are similarities in shape and taste, there are significant differences according to the ingredients and manufacturing. While the French croissants are made of so-called yeast leavened dough and tons of butter, the German version of the croissant is made of normal yeast dough, and it does not contain as much butter or fat than a croissant. Therefore, the taste between a German and a French croissant is indeed slightly different. Besides that, the German version of the croissant has a more curvy shape. But of course, this applies to a traditional German croissant, and there are a lot of deviations and varieties of this pastry. Some of them, if they are not made by a conservative traditional baker, have shapes close to a French croissant. Also, there are also some varieties of little horns available, for example with a nougat filling or a hazelnut topping, and so on. The fourth German pastry in this video is called Poppy Snail. The main ingredients of a poppy snail are yeast dough, a lot of poppy, some grounded nuts, and an icing. Poppy snails are soft, fluffy, sweet, and very poppy-like. Popular and typical variants are snails with a marzipan or persipen filling and raisins, nut mass, or cinnamon. In some Austrian areas where this pastry is also native, snails are filled with boiled berries or plum jam and baked. According to a shape of a poppy snail, there are usually differences between those from a bakery and homemade ones. The homemade ones are usually made in a casserole, so the homemade poppy snails look a bit different, but they are every bit as good as those as from a bakery. If you ever have a chance to visit Germany, a poppy snail should definitely be on your culinary bucket list. But now let's check the next pastry. This one is called curd cheese pocket, and its main ingredients are usually yeast leavened dough and curd cheese. For someone who is used to baking, curd cheese pockets are easy to make, and they catch on every coffee party or afternoon tea. A slight variation of the traditional curd cheese pocket is the one with some raisins inside the curd cheese. But the result is as usual the same: crispy on the outside, soft and juicy on the inside, with a delicious taste of the curd cheese. Make sure that this pastry also gets onto your culinary bucket list. Of course, there are also some variations existing like this one with some tangerine pieces. It's not very common, but a welcome variety and an eye-catcher. The sixth pastry is the traditional Danish pastry with main ingredients yeast leavened dough, a pudding layer, and a piece of fruit. Traditionally, the piece of fruit consists of a half-canned peach. But because of its simplicity, there are a lot of varieties according to the fruits. Especially in the summertime you will find Danish pastries with strawberries instead of canned peaches. During the fall, there are a lot of damson plums are used, but other fruits like cherries are also very popular. In total, these Danish pastries with a piece of fruit on them are very popular, and there is no German bakery imaginable without them, although they were not invented in Germany. Originally, this type of pastry comes from Denmark and Austria. Now, let's check the next popular pastry in Germany. This one is called the American. The origin of this pastry in Germany, but also its name, is unclear. It is sometimes claimed that the typical American half-and-half cookie was introduced by American soldiers serving at US military bases in Germany during the 1950s. But it was never proven. Nevertheless, with the American there is another pastry you will find almost in every German bakery. The main ingredients of the American are dough without yeast, a lot of frosting, and ammonium bicarbonate as a leavener. Because of its alleged relationship to the half-and-half cookie, you will usually find two variations of this pastry. The first one is with a complete white frosting. The second one is half covered with white frosting and the other half with compound chocolate. But homemade Americans are also covered with some colored icings just to give them an interesting optical variation. Let's check the next pastry. This one is called Kruller, and it is also a very typical pastry you will find in a German bakery. Like the earlier mentioned nut corners in this video, the Kruller also has a long history. Its earliest mention goes back to the year 1713 in a baking book which was published in the German city Nuremberg. The main ingredients of the Kruller: a pastry dough, also called choux pastry, and a thick frosting layer. Instead of get baked, a Kruller is get fried in oil and is truly delicious, although it has billions of calories. But from time to time it just has to be. Therefore don't miss this one in case you want to travel to Germany. Number 9 in this video are traditional Christmas biscuits. The main ingredient of these is shortcrust. But the rest is very versatile and there are no limits of creativity. You will get these biscuits only during around the Christmas time, usually from the beginning of December. Important is that you will not find a lot of them in a bakery because it's a tradition that these biscuits are usually made at home with friends. Interesting is that the finished product is not the point here. The point is the process of making these biscuits, or the ritual of baking if you will. So in case you visit Germany during the Christmas time and you know some people there, try these biscuits at their home. But of course, you can also buy a tiny variation of them in a bakery or in a confectionery. By the way, you will also find these biscuits in a supermarket, but as we all know, industrial production is never as good as handmade one. The last pastry in this video is the Christmas gingerbread, which is also available only during the Christmas time, or at least from the end of November. The production of gingerbread has a long tradition, and the German word for gingerbread has been documented since the 13th century. In many places, the production is part of the local baking culture, as evidenced by various protected designations of origin for regional gingerbread specialties such as Nuremberg gingerbread. So if you have a chance to visit Nuremberg during Christmas time, you have to try the typical Nuremberg gingerbread, which would also be a great souvenir. There are two types of gingerbread, so-called brown gingerbread and wafer gingerbread. Both types are usually made from a kneadable dough and refined with so-called gingerbread spices such as aniseed, fennel, ginger, cardamom, coriander, mace, nutmeg, cloves, allspice and cinnamon. We hope you have enjoyed this video and could get some helpful ideas and suggestions. Which pastry is your favorite? Please leave a comment, and if you like this video, just hit the like button below and subscribe to this channel to get more interesting culinary videos in the future.